Hi again. It's been a few weeks since I've last made a video about my dystonia journey, and there's a few reasons for that, I suppose. Have you ever seen that show Alone, um, where they put a bunch of people on a isolated place out in the wilderness, each of them separate, and they've all got to survive for as long as they can on their own. And in the first few days, there's like a whole lot of enthusiasm and energy, while each of them, is talking up their game, and they're building their shelters and um, thinking they're going to make it. And within a few days, like, most of them have dropped out, and then gradually over a couple of weeks, it's just left with the people who kind of start bunkering down and realizing that they're in this for that it's going to be a long haul. It's going to be a long, cold, dark, lonely winter, um, where they're going to be hungry, and it's not going to be fun, and enthusiasm isn't going to carry them through. Well, I feel a little bit like that, and I've had moments where in the past where I guess I'm feeling energetic and enthusiastic, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And the thing is, this dystonia doesn't really work to any schedule that I set for it. And it doesn't respond to me having a whole lot of enthusiasm to change things, not in any short-term kind of way. It's a long game. And so I guess there's a couple of things in that. Like, one of them is, I'm not just making these videos for me as a way to keep a personal journal. I'm doing it for you and the people who are watching it as well. And I want to have something to say. I want to be helpful. And as much as I'm going through this journey right now and looking for help myself, I want to be helpful to other people as well. So it makes me hesitate about being negative or not having useful things to say. And it has felt like, over recent weeks or months, I've had this increasing acceptance that this is something that's going to be around for a long time, maybe forever. But I'll keep having the different treatments and all of that, and how well that goes is kind of unknown. And it's really not. It's not dependent on how enthusiastic I am, or how positive I am, or how proactive I am. It's going to do its own thing. And then sometimes, getting too, I guess, I sort of find that it can be a bit responsive to how agitated I am, or it's hard to describe this, how energized. Like, the calmer I am, the better, I think. So, stress is not good for dystonia. I think most people will agree with that. It makes it worse. And that kind of includes both both good and bad stresses, not just the things that you think of as being terrible and hard to deal with. It's like anything that sort of gets you a bit worked up can make the stress, can make the dystonia worse. So I kind of, felt the need to lay low a bit and just chill to, to manage the symptoms, but also just in recognition of the fact that this will take time, maybe a lifetime. Yeah. So that's a couple of the things. Look, I'm halfway. I'm in the middle of a cycle, but in the middle of a Botox cycle at the moment. So I've got another 6 weeks or so till my next treatment. I did get some benefit from my last guided Botox treatment. I found it helped a bit, quite a lot maybe. Improved my my range of movement, and it reduced my pain, both of which are great things, but it's still very variable. And although I'm not kind of in pain all day, and I'm able to do a bit more, if I try and take advantage of that and get a lot more done, then I will pay the price. I will. The pain can get severe, and the muscle spasms get worse. So clearly I've got to keep going with the Botox, and it's unknown, whether it's going to be sort of up and then back down to the same level, or up and then back down to, a little bit higher level and then better the next time. The whole journey is unknown, and it doesn't matter how many people you speak to. What I'm saying now about my journey is going to be very different than somebody else's journey, and I get that from talking to other people with dystonia. It's so widely different. Some people can have no pain at all. Some people can have excruciating pain. And some people are able to maintain a full-time job. Some people have to quit work altogether. It just varies, right? And so you can't predict what it's going to be for you based on other people's experiences at all. And you can't say, okay, that person followed this, did these things. If I do the same things as them, then I'll be as good as them. I don't think it works like that. So that's kind of, you've really got to be able to just let go of any attempt to try and control this thing, because it doesn't work. Now, one of the things I guess I touch on is there's this whole set of symptoms with cervical dystonia, which are called non-motor symptoms. And I mention them in different ways. I don't think I've used the term non-motor symptoms before. But the motor symptoms are the obvious ones, right? The motor symptoms are, the pulling of my head to the side. And that's the thing that people can see. And then there's pain associated with that, which people, I think, can generally understand. They understand muscle cramps and things like that. And then there's functional limitations that come from that as well. Like the fact that I can't drive, or, might bump into things, or can't sometimes can't eat with a knife and fork and things like that. There's a whole lot of functional things, which means for me, I'm not able to work at the moment. I'm unable to work, um, and I don't know what the future of work will hold. So there's many things associated with the functional limitations just of having these motor symptoms of your head pulling to the side, or or tremors or whatever's happening. People have different experiences of this. But then there's a whole lot of non-motor symptoms, which are things that people can't see. And some of them are mental health kinds of things like anxiety and depression. They're very prevalent in people who have cervical dystonia. And it can be a bit of a chicken and egg kind of situation. Sometimes people who've got cervical dystonia have had a history of anxiety and depression, which has led to some professionals to see cervical dystonia as a consequence of those mental health issues, and seeing the mental health issues as a cause of the dystonia. And sometimes there might be something in that, and I certainly think that chronic stress was one of the factors that led to me having this. But then there's also anxiety and depression that comes secondary to the cervical dystonia, and that makes sense as well, right? If you're living like this, you're limited in so many ways. Your life gets reduced. It's hard to socialize, hard to work, hard to just be in public without feeling self-conscious. You know, to be in pain for long periods of time. Those things are, can be very depressing and very anxiety provoking. So having anxiety and depression secondary to the cervical dystonia is also incredibly common. So one way or another, whether it comes first or it comes after, or with, there is just a very high rate of anxiety and depression accompanying or associated with cervical dystonia. But then there's other non-motor symptoms as well. For example, sleep problems. Now, I don't know if it's obvious, but like I look in the mirror and I can see how tired I am. I've always had trouble sleeping, especially at times of, in stressful times. But this dystonia has like taken that up a level, I believe. And from going to sleep and feeling in pain and finding it really difficult to get a comfortable position to sleep in, and there's nothing else to distract you, like the house is dark and quiet, and all you've got is like the pain and the discomfort and the thoughts in your head and all of that. So those things interfere with sleep, and worrying about what tomorrow is going to be like or the future is going to be like. All those things are related to sleep problems as well. So sleep problems are a huge thing with cervical dystonia. And then when you have sleep problems, you get daytime tiredness, right? So you have lower energy during the day. And your ability to cope with stresses is reduced when you're not sleeping. All right, so it's all tied together. Like it's just this big kind of mess of interrelated factors. But those are more non-motor symptoms. But there's also, they found when they when Botox treatment is successful, and you get rid of the motor symptoms, so you get rid of the muscle spasms, that some of these, for some people, um, and relatively often, these non-motor symptoms can persist, right? So it's not just the pain and the muscle spasm which is keeping you awake. It's like the same processes which are creating the dystonia um, are also involved in the parts of your brain um, that create the mental health issues, sleep issues, anxiety and depression, etc. And there's good research showing that that is the case. You know, there is the same parts of the brain are involved in creating these things. So yeah, you know, so there's some obvious logical um, um, relationships between these things, but also some complex brain stuff that's going on, which connects all of these things together. I think, you know, when you have this kind of combination of things which people can see and maybe understand, these are the things that people go, oh, yeah, you know, how's your neck? Or your your neck looks a little bit better, or you know, it looks like you're a bit um, you've got a bit more movement there. Um, and those are the things, you know. I mean, it's nice that people are um, showing an interest and showing some care about how you are doing. But I think it can also be a little bit frustrating because they can't see the whole experience. They can't see what's going on inside. Um, and you know, many other things I've talked about before, like how it's impacting you in terms of your sense of identity and purpose, and you know, your role in life, and what you're able to achieve, and your kind of self-efficacy, all of these kinds of things. Um, those are things that are invisible to people unless you can express it. Um, so yeah, I think that'll do for today, and I'll see you again in another video soon. Okay, bye.